100%. It's just like, all right, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, coach. It's really going to work out for me. So we are going to be moving into our first semi-final map. Remember, money on the line. Third and fourth today go home with $100 for the two of them. Second place goes home with $300. And first place goes home with not only half a grand, $500, but also the unique in-game title.
That's a great way of saying half a grand.
Half
that
a
sounds
grand.
so cool.
It is. It sounds like a lot more than $500.
Half a grand.
Half of a grand. That's nuts. I mean, if you had another half of a grand, you'd have a whole grand. Teldo and Mini sticking with the Rook-Lucy combination. Condemned. Gonna put that pressure in right away on Mini, but the potion will push him away. Teldo does get buried, then it pushes. Oh, take a look at that. Pushes Condemned away, and we'll get panicked. Condemned has to get healed up a little bit. They're gonna reposture up, reset their cooldowns. Now everybody available with everything. Who will start the onslaught? Now going in on Mini. Mini does clarity potion herself. Oh, and the orb will get punched through with the M2 from Teldo. The counter will get hit for Condemned, and a good in cap from Teldo on the wall.
Nice from Mini to actually roll out of that scenario, and so far Mini has been kiting really well. Oh, the barrier comes up, but he's going to try to flick and misses Clooney. That could be bad. Teldo is a little short on cooldowns, but he's bought enough time. The counter doesn't get hit. The crushing blow gets countered up. Here comes Condemned's turn to do damage. He needs to chase. Here comes a spear, and he does catch up.
What an in cap, perfectly on that wall, and this orb again. We'll go to TelRoskMi. Teldo will hit that counter, though. He's got to be careful. His counter down. The panic will get broken.
Oh, no! Oh. There's a roll. The rush comes. Oh, Clooney's in trouble. I can't believe it. He's actually going to die here. No, Bear comes up just in time. Oh, get smashed. So many Lucy's getting smashed by Teldo. Lucy just...
Rook's got a type.
Rook's got a... Oh, my God.
Now you're seeing Condemned trying to deal with this 2v1, not looking great. I love the use of that ultimate from Mini to force Clooney to use his roll and then followed immediately up by a rush from Teldo. There's no way getting out of that. Teldo knows for 100% fact he will land it. Unless you get petrified mid-rush, because he's not invulnerable in the rush.
The combo was great, actually. Mini landed the Crippling Goo, knew that the roll was coming, used a Panic Flash to punish the roll, and then on the Panic Flash, Teldo had an easy rush to land, and then once he hit that, it was just over for Clooney. There's no more escapes. He can't get out of that scenario, and there's so many cooldowns that Teldo has available that it's an easy kill and ends up closing it out.
Gotta be careful going into this. You do not want to let Teldo and Mini have the momentum going through in this semifinal. Clooney will get bouldered, but Condemned's counter will get hit. They're trying to make sure that they don't bait out Teldo's counter. He has not used it just yet, and they're waiting to when they can hit him. Man, there it is, perfectly timed.
His flicks. His target choices, he's just trying to continue to put up. Oh,
what a petrify! Just look at the M2, he's in the middle of it.
You can't stop him. Mini's too good.
Oh, what a flick around with the M2, getting the armor break, but he hasn't taken much damage to the material. Picking up the candy, though, the counter will get pulled out.
Nice, and the rush trying to flick over to Clooney. Knew that the barrier was going to come out. Actually lands a crushing blow, and that could be bad. There's the dispel on the armor break, and so far it seems like Condemned is having a hard time finding a target to connect on. And again,
what a petrify, knowing he can't burst.
He has to
M1
wait.
He can't M1 it, Clooney. Do it.
What?
He knows the M1 would have given it to lethal damage. Oh, and Rook will get pulled back in. The barrier gets torn through, and he gets
Clooney has no bar. He only has one stick of butter now.
Got to be careful. Oh,
no.
Just walks out of that one. Mini's got to be careful. Now Mini's got nothing left. Has no more bar. Just use the ultimate. The barrier will push him away.
I think that's a big misplay from TelRoskMi, actually. And if there's any time that they can come back, it's going to be now. And Condemned is going to be able to maybe secure the center orb. He gets petrified again.
Another fantastic petrify. Mini just shutting down Condemned. He's got his number. He keeps that orb control away from Bruce Lee.
Execution needs to improve just a little bit for TelRoskMi, though, because despite the fact that they've been winning orbs, they've been losing out on a lot of damage, and their aggressive pushes have not been nearly as successful as they would have hoped. Incapacitate. The next orb is coming up right now. Crushing blow is being spent. Positioning is a little bit... Oh!
Another!
No! Stop!
Yo, he must like DJ Khaled, because there's another one coming.
Oh my God.
We're going to see Rook now try and take damage, but he's actually going to be careful. He gets panicked and deadly check. No more iframes. He has to get clarity potion, turning targets to Mini, and now they're just going to hop right on top of Clooney, but he uses his barrier to swiftly make his escape.
Doesn't get the incapacitate, will dispel, and gets the cross petrify, and now the orb will go. There's ultimate. What? Oh, they did get it.
5 orbs to 0. TelRoskMi with such big center control, but they don't seem to be capitalizing as much as you think. But Mini, will he save for the roll, or will he put out the ultimate once Clooney Has no more mobility.
I wholeheartedly believe that Crippling Goo is their biggest way back into this game, and it just comes out to execution. Teldo needs to land stuff. Oh no, here comes a panic. Maybe going to spend the roll to get back, but I think that's a mistake.
Oh, the roll's been out for Clerney. Now we're going to see it come out. There it is. The goo comes down, but Clerney can't get pushed back in. And now the reverse ultimate. Mini is stuck in there. Mini can't roll out. He gets pulled back in and destroyed. Now Teldo left all alone.
What a heartbreaking loss for TelRoskMi. They had everything in the pocket to be able to close. Oh, wait! Hold on! Clerney's in trouble! Oh, and Rook is so good in this scenario!
Oh my, that actually was terrifying. Teldo might have had an opportunity if he had a few more cooldowns, but just too hard to rotate when you're dealing with two people instead of one.
A lot of damage could come up. I really think the big mistake for Mini and Teldo was that Crippling Goo that Mini whiffed. At the end of the day, he threw the Crippling Goo off target, and Clerney was able to just walk out of it. If that Crippling Goo had been centered, caused Clerney to spend a cooldown, spend a swift roll to try to get out of it, then Mini and Teldo could have played off of that. The other mistake too was Teldo missing the rush, and missing things like that really hurts because you really want to make sure that you're continuing pressure and punishing Clerney and Condemned for losing out on all those orbs. They just couldn't make it happen. The execution wasn't quite there. The strategy was on point, and despite the fact that Mini was landing so many petrifying bolts, landing the orbs, they could not convert that into damage. Fine, you're building yourself a resource advantage and a health advantage, but if you can't convert that into damage on your opponents, it doesn't mean anything because that's the only way you can win a match, is by killing your opponents.
And you know that the moment Rook's rush is down, he's got no more mobility. He then depends on hopefully landing a boulder to push you closer to him. Or having his ally hopefully pressure you right back into him, which is going to be tough. So if he misses that rush, it takes a lot of pressure off of anyone who's around him as well. Well, the counter immediately gets procced. And then Teldo trying to put pressure on Clerney, who was able to remain mounted. Oh, but there goes the counter. The barrier on him will push him away. Both have gone blast barrier to push away their melee opponents. Now Teldo just going to take down Clerney. Oh, Condemned doesn't actually get his counter proc. He's now in a dangerous position. Another petrified.
Oh,
my God!
The staggering is so smart. Mini knew that he shouldn't attack, and he just canceled both his left clicks, and that faked out Clerney, and Clerney was just attacking into it. This is a lot of pressure right now. There's a petrifying bolt. The crushing blow will land. There's a dispel, but now it's looking bad. Incapacitate. I think it was a little bit of a mistake for Mini to break it. But they will be able to continue pressure here.
He missed the rush. Teldo now has no more counter, but Condemned doesn't either, taking a lot of damage. Oh, he almost has his ultimate, though. He might try and deal a good bit of damage. He gets the M2. Oh, he ended up having to use it to get in closer to it. He doesn't have his ultimate. Now he does.
Oh, no. Clerney is
not looking so good getting dashed out of that, but he does still have almost 75% energy left. Might be a little bit too late. Oh, the ultimate on Teldo, but he gets pushed and panicked. Goodbye, Condemned.
That's what it looks like when the execution is on point. You can see that Mini and Teldo's decision-making and strategy are so far above, but the execution makes all the difference. They landed a ton of abilities there, and in key moments as well, and it looked like an easy rollover for them to take that round. Bruce Lee needs to change up something about how they're positioning, how they're entering these fight scenarios, and how they're playing out the cooldowns if they want a chance to come back here.
Now one more round and map 1 will go to TelRoskMi. And they'll be one map away from getting into our finals. Trying to bait out with the rush, get in the boulder, and actually rushes over to Clerney, but still mounted up, will dodge that. Condemned taking actually some damage from Mini, but Mini is going to have to build up enough to get her roll soon, and she has, just gets the energy. Gets away from Condemned, but Condemned continues to hunt down the, oh, the counter gets procced. Now he's going to let some damage on Mini, burying herself, but Clerney does hit the counter on Rook, and now on opposite ends, these supports are trying their best to survive.
I like the 1-1 split here. That's the kind of thing that I was talking about. Change up your decision-making and your positioning, and this strategy might work out a little bit better. So far, Condemned is doing a much better job damaging Mini, but this is going to change the game because now they have resources. Gets petrified up. How is Condemned going to connect? He needs to mount up on his own. He's going to get Candy, and that's going to help out a lot, but Teldo is still pressuring out Clerney right now, and Condemned just can't connect.
That mount's just a bit too fast. Just getting rid of most predictions you know in this game, know and love so well.
Oh my God, through the wall.
Getting pushed. Oh, that time they actually finally secured an orb, and he gets countered. Gonna go on Mini, but Mini swift rolls actually right into Clerney. Has to be careful though. Now he's stuck between two, and the end cap on Rook will let them both go down on Mini, but a great clarity potion, pushing Condemned away. He will pull her right back.
Oh my God.
Clerney's got to be careful of the armor break, but another petrify yet again. That is Mini's favorite ability. If we could stick it on a statistic.
There's no CC anymore, and so the orb is going to go to Condemned and Clerney. Look at the health difference right now. The split has been going way in favor of Bruce Lee. Counter does get proc. Teldo baits his counter out. There's a Whirling Blade. Will Swift roll out of it. Hits the rush. And now Mini's gonna get punished. Nice EX pool.
Oh my.
There it is. I like the adjustment from Condemned and Clerny, and I like the strategy. Crippling Goo at the end to punish the roll and the EX pool to make sure that the kill gets finished out. Clean, easy.
Look at this. Condemned still with nearly full health. I think he actually has effective max health right now. If he gets healed up, he has not lost anything at all. Just outplaying in the 1v1s. Clerny stayed alive just a bit longer than Mini could. Mini had a little bit of difficulty staying away from Condemned. Tried to utilize that wall on the top right, but just couldn't get around it enough to mitigate enough damage and ended up suffering at the end with the Goo combo.
I think that's definitely the way for Condemned and Clerny to go. Condemned, or rather Shifu, does a lot of damage on his own and in many ways has a much easier time having uptime on his opponent, whereas Rook only has a few gap closers. I mean, his Crushing Blow has a little bit of a range on it, but really rushes his big mobility, and if he misses that, then Clerny can run for a really long time, and despite the fact that Condemned had trouble catching up to Mini in all those moments, he was able to do enough damage to kind of justify it, and then also winning center orbs as well.
Oh, Clerny now taking a lot of damage from Teldo. Armor break, and the barrier actually doesn't get utilized, and he's going to get in-cap rush boulder combo. Mini takes almost no damage and petrifies to get away. Clerny is looking rough.
Center orb will go to Condemned, and the dodge on Clerny on the rush, and now it's going to be Mini in trouble.
Mini's got to be careful. The material gets used. Now that they got that first orb, they're going to be utilizing a bit more energy. Mini does push Condemned away, but he pulls himself right back in. The Swift roll, the tasty, tasty Swift roll to get away from Condemned. Just get enough damage, and Teldo's trying to put that pressure right back on Clerny.
Teldo's trying to come back. I think that TelRoskMi is realizing that their decision. Oh, jumps a Petrifying Bolt. You can't do the same. You can't do the same as Mini Clerny. They will win the center orb. I think they will need to change up their strategy a little bit, try to unite and use teamwork to defeat Condemned and Clerny. Nice Petrifying Bolt there.
Now they're just going to go for one
and incapacitate.
They're just going to go on Mini. Mini does get the Clarity Potion, but she takes a lot of damage. Now down to quarter health. She has to heal up, but she's going to continuously get hunted down. Condemned is just ruthless. He's now got a material. There's the Petrify and the Boulder to push him away. And this orb, it looks like it's going to get secured by TelRoskMi. Maybe not. Oh, pulled away. Condemned just getting it away from the rush.
Condemned is really wrecking this round right now. He's doing so well, both on damage and as well as orb control. He's playing really well, and Clerny is kiting out just as well. Teldo is having a hard time connecting on either of them, and Condemned has been able to convert a lot of side situations into a benefit for them. This is cut it away and is restabilized, however.
Round number 5. Whoever takes this will take the first map of this matchup, and now we're going to see Condemned going on a Mini. Oh, the ultimate!
Oh, Mini's down!
Almost melted, but the blast shield actually pushes away with the barrier. The counter doesn't get procced, but a single M2 could bring her to near lethal damage.
Oh, this is looking real bad for Teldo.
Teldo, the counter will get procced, and he just gets enough for the candy. Condemned's going to try and switch targets right over to Mini. Mini has just enough energy for the roll, but he's got to be careful. Teldo has nothing. He cannot eat. He might
the Bailey Petrify gets the orb.
Another Petrify. I'm almost getting sick of calling it. Mini, so good. Oh, that will be at the end cap. Lets her stand there for the final bits of damage, and now Teldo has to rip through 80% health pool. I don't think he can do it.
Condemned is playing out of his mind right now, and I think there's so many scenarios that Condemned just won the small battles on that made it difficult for TelRoskMi to really come back into this game. The center orbs were much better contested overall, and the combination between Clerny and Condemned to really punish Crippling Goo on Clerny was absolutely key in the last one to slow Teldo up and put them in a scenario where Mini really could not afford to stay away from Teldo for long. I think the adjustment into doing a 1-1 split there, smart on Bruce Lee's side. I have to imagine that TelRoskMi should have adjusted and tried to go 2v1 onto Condemned. I feel like that was clearly the better answer, but maybe there's something that TelRoskMi identified differently that caused them to go for Clerny the whole time. Clerny was cutting out decently, and then I highlighted the difference between Shifu and Rook as well. I think it's definitely in favor for TelRoskMi to swap up their target choice. But we'll see. I mean, they did come close, and there were some scenarios, I feel like, where TelRoskMi could have come out ahead, but it just looked tough. Resources were in favor for TelRoskMi, despite the fact that sometimes they were getting orbs. There never seemed to be an opportunity for Crippling Goo to come down to do damage on TelRoskMi's side. Rather, that seemed to happen more often than not for Bruce Lee. And it just seemed like they couldn't get solid damage out onto their opponents, really, in many scenarios.
And I think one of the advantages that Shifu has with Lucy over Rook is the synergy with the ultimate. being able to pull right back into the goo, which we've seen a lot of team comps try and utilize. So we're going to take a look at a quick replay of when Lucy actually does get a good ultimate, and they just maximize the damage by just continuously keeping them in it.
I really like the crippling goo and pool combo. Punishing mobility is a big thing in BattleRekt. It's kind of the simplest, most easy way to really do damage to your opponent. Identify their cooldowns that they want to spend to try to get out of this scenario. There's a whirling blade and spending the roll, and that might have been just a little bit too much. Knew that the rush was available, and you see Mini is just nearly out of the scenario, but then just gets pushed back, and the clarity potion as well. I think definitely looking at it in slow motion, the way out of that situation is to let Rook stun and get you out of that scenario, and then spend the roll on whatever Clarity wants to commit. Smart move for Clarity, of course, is just to hold and not commit, right? Or to use Petrifying Bolt to help Condemn catch up. But who knows? I mean, there's always these different if and or buts that we could go through in different scenarios to try to kind of figure out how they could play their way out of the situation. But that happened in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So
now I don't think I've ever seen Lucy's Petrify utilized in such perfect fashion as Mini.
Yeah.
That was incredible. There was one time Shifu was literally in the middle of an M2 to secure like an 8 health orb, and then you just had to sit there and watch it go. It's gotta be torturous. Like, you know you're about to have it. You're actually halfway through the animation. That animation is what, 0.5 seconds? Something like that. Maybe 0.7. I don't know if I recall fully. Might be able to look it up, but it's not really that big a deal. Either way, a short animation in the scheme of things.
0.3.
0.3. Yo, wow, even shorter. I guess it feels like forever because I see him wind up.
Yeah.
And it's a relatively projected skill, but 0.3 seconds, able to get caught in the middle of it, and the orb secured. Mini did such a good job. There was one round, it was what, 5-0 or 6 orbs to 0? Just securing every single orb. Especially with Lucy, that's very promising because it always makes sure you have at least a little bit enough for a roll if you have it at least off of cooldown, and enough for Petrifies, which she just kept using over and over again to secure more orbs, and it gives you effective max health.
Yeah, I think that was really important. I wonder if they have a better way to kind of convert that, and that's really the big issue for TelRoskMi, right? Converting those orbs into something useful. Oh, they're changing it up.
We got a sub. So the way our rules work, you're allowed to have 3 people on your 2v2 roster, and you can swap one if you need to.
They're tagging in. This is that wrestling scenario that I was thinking about.
This is it.
It's like, I wonder if BattleRekt is going to climb into the cage as well.
It's actually the first time we've seen anybody do this. We've never actually seen somebody be able to swap. As long as it's not middle of a series, we allow you to swap. Because why not? You got a roster. You can utilize it as you please. Jolts will be coming in for Condemned to see if maybe they can switch things up a bit, spice it up, maybe change their team comps, and put
I'm
that
interested
pressure.
because it seemed pretty, well, to be fair, the first few rounds, not at all, right? It was pretty close, the first few rounds, but after they swapped their strategies, it was pretty comfortable for Condemned and Clooney. So I wonder if Clooney and Jolts are just going to use this map advantage to try things out to see if they can find an easier win, and if not, they're just going to go back to Condemned and Clooney to see if that happens. Or maybe it's just because Jolts feels a little bit bad for the comments we made about him just sitting on the chair. Like,
maybe that's his way of making sure he gets money. He's like, guys, I think I can do really well. Let me come in. And he's like, now I can take some money. That's Jolts for you. No, fantastic player. We're just messing with him because he was in chat kind of hanging around, giving us a little bit of a hard time. He's a great player. Everyone here, fantastic sports. It's one of the big things I want to talk about this BattleRekt community while I have a little bit of time. I think BattleRekt's got a great community, especially the top players. They all seem to have a great time playing against each other. A lot of good sportsmanship. A lot of good GGs in our Discord afterwards.
I like it when the players have fun.
Yeah. That's what we're here for, man. We just want you guys to have a good blast.
We have a ton of fun. I hope. You know, I always wonder how many of the players come back and watch the stream. I bet you, what I feel the most bad about is when they come back and watch the stream, and they're just like, who is this idiot who's just like talking? You know, and they're like, what the hell is he talking about? That's what I feel the most bad about. But hopefully it's entertaining for them to watch.
Yeah. They're like, man, why couldn't they have anyone else talking about it as these two fools constantly talking about some garbo? So we're probably going to see some interesting team comp now coming out of Jolt and Clone. I don't know if we've ever seen them in twos together, at least not here on BattleRekt, or BattleRekt, I should say. So I'm curious to know if we know that Jolt is one of the best Esmo players in the game. So most likely we'll see him pull that off. And actually, we're about to get into this map number 2. Even though Bruce Lee wanted this, still wanted to go for the team swap.
Interesting. Interesting. Oh, my God, this is so great. I love it. There's just so many. I love the dynamic play that we're seeing today in the finals.
This is nutty.
Teldo back on Croak, and then now Jolts is subbed in. Every single round is a new beautiful day, Carpet.
Honestly, I've experienced a whole weeks of beautiful days, and just today, this morning and this afternoon, fantastic. And Teldo Switching to Crook, probably knowing he'd be going against an Esmo, since Joltz oh so frequently picks him. He will build the silence build on Disruption, and Crook will build spit, spit, spit. Getting the extra Toxic Muck to give himself just a bit more range damage and support. The pull just missing on Mini. Gonna try and hunt down that Joltz. Joltz's spacebar is down, but the Arcane Barrier and Barrier are both up. So
lots of cooldowns missing. Let's see if they can connect. Tunnel was a little bit out of position to do so. There it is. He lands the Deceit, but good healing from Clerney to avoid that snare. Oh, the Tome is down. Watch out. So much damage.
The one thing he does well that I've never seen another Esmo do is he is
good
meticulous
dodge.
with every single M1. He'll land so much damage, but now Teldo's gonna try and put some damage on Clerney. He'll get pulled right back in and silence. The Barrier will protect him from some damage, but he's still almost down to half.
Now gonna punish Mini for not having Barrier. There's a Tombstone drop, or rather a Tome with Destruction drop. He's gonna do a good bit of damage and gets a silence as well. Mini rolls out, but that's not gonna help him run. Barrier out, and he's gonna be able to mitigate some of that damage from the ultimate, but Jolt still has both his displaces, and so Mini is in a ton of trouble, and Tello has been having trouble connecting on Clerney.
Oh
what
my
a
God.
flick! And the root. You are dead.
This is it. This is it for Mini. He will go down. Take a look at the connection. Every single M1 connecting with flesh.
The target choice from Jolt is, it's crazy how much pressure he's putting out right now.
It's disgusting.
He's forcing cooldowns out. He uses his Tombstone, or rather his, I keep calling it his Tome's Destruction, his Displace, and he's just using his left clicks and Chaos Grips in kind of staggered ways to cause his opponents to spend cooldowns, right? He uses one of the jumps, and Mini knows that he's going to take a lot of damage, so he uses his Barrier. Then Jolt says, okay, your Barrier's down, I'm going to drop Tome's Destruction. Fine. Then Mini says, okay, I'm going to spend my Swift Roll. Then he's like, oh, you spent your Swift Roll? Now I'm going to pull you back in, and I'm just going to start left-clicking you, and then Mini is sitting there, I have no more cooldowns. And then he tries to use a Panic Flash and either gets Arcane Barriered up or dodged by Displace.
And you can easily maybe want to be like, ew, Esmo's so strong. But Jolt is the only person that we see even coming close. Oh, getting a pull from so far around.
The Barrier was wasted, and now it's going to be Teldo that's in trouble. The target swap was so good. Teldo using both his jumps. There's a Barrier defensively. He's going to use both his Displaces and maybe landing an Incapacitate. No, but Clerney is there to get Jolt's back. We'll get the center orb, but I don't know if that's going to amount to very much. Right now, Mini and Teldo just need to find a connection.
Seems a little bit rough. Mini will get pulled in. He has built up the range now. Jolt's increased range on his M2 as it's fully charged. He wants to be able to initiate from a safe distance. The Tome is down and going to put some damage out. Teldo trying to get away. Oh, great. That was actually a really good dodge from that M2. We're going to get the Incap ball by the stun. There's the deadly injects. He has to shield himself, plus the Barrier. He spacebar's out, but now his mobility's down. They're going to... Oh, Teldo just gets out of there, and they secure the orb. Got to be careful, though. 3 ultimates are up on the field. They're
starting to put out some damage, and the ultimates are really key here for Mini and Teldo. If they land a big connection here, I think the C is the way back into this, but maybe Teldo's going to spend Venom Wind instead. No, yes, he actually gets a stun. Venom Wind could come up. Arcane Barrier to stop the Panic Flash, and Mini might be in trouble here. Let's see if he has a Swift Roll, and if he does, he's about to get dunked. He needs to be very aware of the bar that Joltz and Clerney has.
Joltz to use the spacebar. Now we're going to see it coming.
There it is!
The double ultimate! Can Esmo get out of there? It is too much burst damage. Esmo goes down, and now Clerney is left all alone, loses the orb, and will just get chunked down by Teldo.
So simple. Hey, you use one space, you use two, and the instant they saw that, Mini and Teldo were like, F!
F! F! Just, I'm hoping they haven't switched their cooldowns, so this makes more sense, but F! Or sorry, switched their key bindings.
Yeah.
They could have. Maybe he switched it.
Could have.
Make it something bigger. Your ultimate's now spacebar because you don't want to miss. But that is the biggest problem with Esmo. When his spacebar is down, he is a sitting duck. He can put his Arcane Shield out, but you're not going to be able to get out of a Teldo or lose the ultimate. You're going to take all that damage. So they have to be careful not to let them get those orbs and build up their ultimates.
The stun there for Teldo was key, allows Mini to heal up and spends a Barrier to stop Teldo from taking more damage. Also avoid, he gets petrified up, but that's actually pretty good because he can Panic Flask again. And they do connect onto Joltz just a little bit. It's going to be about center orb right now. Teldo again with the leap, so great.
That is a hard ability to land, and he lands a lot of them. He's going to get the stun on Joltz. Joltz's space is down. He knows that he's going to ultimate. He's going to have to shield himself. He takes a good bit of damage, but now a lot of cooldowns are in. Can they capitalize? Joltz is building up energy as we speak as well, and Mini there to support Teldo. Clerney having to heal up Joltz.
Mini has a full stick of butter. Here comes the Deceit. He's going to extend on the orb. He gets a stun.
Oh, what a fantastic play using the orb to make sure that he can get there in time before the cooldown.
Joltz needs to be very, very careful about spending his Displace right now because Mini is ready and waiting. Here comes the Deceit, and it might cause Joltz to spend it. No, he's just going to use it in a stun. I think that was a bad choice. Now Joltz is going to have bar himself. Mini doesn't have a roll.
Oh, he can get out of it anyways. He can
Barrier's
walk
down though. We'll get the double stun here, but it's the barrier to help defend Clerny a little bit. Health is going in the advantage of Mini and Teldo, but they're working in bursts. This could be the opportunity for Clerny and Jolts to come back, but the Petrifying Bolt is going to give them some breathing room.
What good orb control. Oh, the ultimate whiff! Clerny actually gets out of that one. He also has an ultimate as well.
Teldo and Mini really need to make sure their execution is on point because that's the only way that Jolts and Clerny are going to get back in. When they spend bar, they need to make sure it's big. Barrier on the Tome of Destruction, and I think that's a really great idea. Arcane Barrier will block up the Camouflage Stun, and Jolts has spent all his mobility. Mini does have the Crippling Goo, and there it is, the trade. There's no more mobility. It's going to be about who does more damage. Barrier comes up but gets panicked up in the Goo. Oh no. And Clerny and Jolts, with beautiful execution, will take Mini down. Jolts and Clerny are playing really, really well.
Oh, the Clarity Potion, just as the end cap comes out, he gets uncloaked and the end cap gets worn off of Clerny. As we know, that doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I think it's just M1 damage.
Teldo and Mini had such an advantage in the round in terms of resource and objective, but I think execution hurt them the most. One Crippling Goo. I think Venom win in the early game that did damage to Jolts was okay, justifiable, but if Teldo had been a little more patient, they could have gotten a bigger connection. But the Crippling Goo before Jolts used the Displace, especially when the Incapacitate happened, he didn't throw it as the Incapacitate landed. He threw it after the Camouflage Stun was nearly out, and I think that was the big mistake there. It just didn't get a lot of damage, and then finally the second one, when Mini threw that Crippling Goo out, it's that classic situation of when you throw out Crippling Goo, you have no more resource and you don't have a Swift Roll. And you don't have to wait for that cooldown to happen. In the Lucy versus Lucy matchup, the first one who throws a Crippling Goo oftentimes exposes themselves to a lot of damage. So if you're the first one to throw the Crippling Goo, you need to make sure that you have a big opportunity to make a kill happen.
And we did see a fully whipped ultimate from Teldo, which is very uncharacteristic, and against a Lucy to boot.
Yes.
Which is usually a pretty easy target if she doesn't have her Swift Roll. So it's really interesting. I don't know if it was a bit of a panic moment or maybe just did an uncharacteristic movement.
Yeah. The big question is, how do you get Jolts to spend both his Displaces, or how do you get Clerny to roll? You have to look for one or the other, and I think Mini and Teldo are going to have to be a little more creative. After that first pop, I don't know if Jolts is ever going to take the bait anymore.
The M2 gets taken down. Jolts will get hit by a little bit of Toxic, but nothing too much, a little bit of muck. Oh, he wants it, but he knows they're just a little bit too fast. The Camouflage just come out. He tries to get the blind camo, can't do it. Teldo just uses it to put the pressure on. They use a little bit of cooldown, some heals.
Nice.
Now the orb is going to go up. Who's going to get it? That will go to Bruce Lee. They're going to get orb number 1. Now Teldo is going to try and make sure he can keep the pressure up on Clerny. Changes his targets to Jolts.
Nice.
The end cap comes out. There's the stun.
Oh, the stun does land. Jolts is going to spend one spacebar, and the second one
there's the second one. Now Teldo knows he can put the pressure on. The Arcane Barrier might be up, but the ultimate is too.
There's him on the Tome and panics it out, and so that's going to be a wasted cooldown, but look at how much damage Teldo has been taking anyway.
Oh, and he gets pulled, the barrier comes out, but he actually almost gets torn all the way through, and that orb's going to go to Bruce Lee as well. 2 orbs to none.
Here comes a big punish, and they might actually punish Teldo on his mobility, depending on how the situation plays out. Teldo has one more dash here, but we'll see. There's a lot of pressure on Jolts and Clerny's side, and this might be the beginning of it. There's a roll, maybe a punish. No, Clerny's not going to throw the goo. There it finally is, but it's a little bit off mark.
Mini gets a good panic on Jolts, but I believe it got broken. That was interesting.
Oh my god, Clerny took a ton of damage, but Teldo is going to whiff on the Camouflage Stun.
Oh, what a fantastic timing by Jolts, knowing exactly when he was, using his spacebar to get out of that and secure yet another orb. Orb number 3, Teldo, the Tome is down, and the Snare comes out after 5 consecutive M1s. Fantastic use of your battle rights. Jolts will take him down, the ultimate to try and finish off.
5 sticks of butter is so much. Was able to put down the Tombstone and still threaten with ultimate, and Teldo was just in an awkward spot. Not the cooldowns available to kind of survive that scenario. Good, solid, kind of methodical play from Jolts and Clerny to kind of take that map win, and 2-0. Bruce Lee will continue their train of doom and move on to the finals. Clerny and Jolts, Clerny and Condemned, doesn't matter. Either of them can do it.
They were able to pull it off, and that's it. They're going to go to the finals. I actually, for half a second, drew a blank because I saw Jolts in there, and I forgot this was map number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed very dominating right now, and I think Teldo and Mini, I mean, it's hard to fight against a good Esmo. I really think that Jolts is pushing the limits of the character, and when the character is played at full potential, it's actually really tough, right? Especially with Lucy having so much peel and so many cooldowns to spend. It's really difficult to get Esmo in a position where he's completely punishable.
Yeah.
I mean, that one round we saw, you saw exactly what happened to Esmo, right? Just popped. But then they just never gave them that opportunity.